Welcome to PokerBlog number 39. So, a lot to catch up. It's been a good amount of time since the previous vlog, and I have definitely not been as consistent. One part is just making this format of every hand takes a lot more time, and they got a kid that's about to come, due date anytime right now, and yeah, running super bad does not help to edit. It's already hard playing, so when I try to do more things, it's not the easiest, but let's catch up. In the last 2 months were absolutely horrible. We are now in October. August was the worst. We were down like 4K. I think, no, we ended up down 2,000, but still down 2,000 in a month is really bad. And last month, that was September, we basically broke even. We averaged like $1 an hour. So yeah, we don't have that huge of a bankroll to withstand such bad run of 2 whole months in a row that I was down in 2 months. This month, thankfully, has been going better. Not amazing. Definitely doing worse than my average, but at least, you know, we are up. We're making money. And yeah, we are all caught up with that. We are in entrance. So let's head in. I have a good feeling about today, and I'm feeling good. That's why I'm deciding to vlog, since it wasn't planned, but let's just do it. So let's head in and play some poker. Let's do it. We head into the poker room and we get there right on time, since as we get in, the 2-5 is starting, and it's always great that to open in a new game, since I get to pick my seat and I get to pick my favorite one, that is seat number 7. So we buy in for $1,000. Let's jump right into the first hand. That, not that pretty. Jack deuce off, so we fold. 3 deuce suited, and now we got a playable one in the button. 10-6 suited. I make it $15 and just get the big blind to call. Flop comes king deuce king. So not what's going on for us. Backdoor flush draw, but I like betting here since I have plenty of kings, and if I get an ace high, queen high, jack high to fold, it's a win. I make it $10, and yeah, he raises to 25, so just folding. Moving on, 9-7 suited in the cutoff. I'd raise it, but the low jack makes it $30, and yeah, not calling in this spot. 6-3 off, jack 4 suited, ace 10 off in early position, not good enough. 4-5 suited and under the gun, not gonna raise it. It is, yeah, late position for sure, but in early position, a very small connected hand. I'm gonna move on. 8-6 off, king 7 suited. In a small blind, no thank you. 10-3 off, 7 deuce off, ace 3 off. No worries, we got a hand now. Pocket 4s in the low jack. I make it $15 and get the button and small blind to call. Flop, ace, king 3. So, yeah, not the best for our pocket pairs, but that is definitely a better board for us than other players. So, let's turn our pocket pair into a bluff. I make it $25. And yeah, they both call. Turn is a deuce of hearts. So, 2 callers, one pretty likely has a flush. I'm not going to try to bluff here, so I check, and the button does bet. He makes it $35, and we both fold. So, not the most amazing start, but this is 2-5. Down $72 is absolutely nothing. So let's move on. King 7 off, king 8 off, 7-3 off. And now we are in the small blind with ace 6 suited. Under the 1, cut off limp. And yeah, I see the mirror in raising here just because it was early position. A lot of times a limp with pretty strong hands. So I decide just to call. Big blind checks. Flop comes queen 4-4. So backdoor flush and an overcard. But under the 1, it's $15 and cut off calls. I think it's a little too ambitious to call with backdoors on a paired board. So I just fold. Now we are in the button with king deuce suited. Under the gun, low jack limp. And yeah, with 2 limpers, I'm just going to have a tighter range. So I do fold. Cut off, king jack off, definitely be raising. But under the gun makes it $15 and he gets 2 callers. So I do not think this hand is doing good multi-way. So I fold. Jack 7 off, ace 8 off. And now we have a pretty one. Pretty-ish. King queen off in under the 1. I make it $15 and just the big blind calls. Out comes king 10-4, so pretty good top pair queen kicker. When he checks, I bet $20 and he folds. So take down the first pot of the session. Let's move on. 6 deuce off, 5-4 off. There's 2 limpers, so I just check. Flop comes 4 king queen, so bottom pair, not loving it anyways. It checks around, turn is a queen. I check when someone bets, I just fold. Queen 6 off, 10-8 off, ace 9 off. Now we are in the low jack with pocket 4s. Under the gun makes it $15. And let's set mine. I call. So does the hijack and small blind. So 4 ways to a flop. That comes very nice. 4-7-5. We flop bottom set. There is some straights, but I don't think there's too many. Sure, maybe the players I called after me could be wide enough to call with suited, 8-6 suited for sure. But for the most part, I think our set is good. Under the gun makes it $20, and I considered raising, but I just felt I was next to act. It looks super strong, and there's no flush draw. Sure, there's a straight draw, but I'm just going to risk it this time. I just call, and so does a hijack. Turn is beautiful. It's a 5, so now we have a full house. Not worried at all anymore about the straights. And good news, under the gun bets again, but pretty small, just $25. But he just has 100 behind, so I don't think I need to raise here since I could easily get it all in against him in the river. And maybe if I call, the hijack will call behind since he's getting a good price. And maybe he has a straight draw, and I want to give him a price to call to hit it on the river and get money from him. So that is what I do. I call, sadly, no more value from the hijack since he folds. River is a queen, and under the gun does the work for us. He goes all in for $100. So of course, we call, and we are good against pocket jacks. So set mining works out this time, and we are now in the green, $120. Let's go. Let's move on. King 3 off, ace 9 off, 9 deuce off, 4 deuce off. Now in a small blind again with a pocket pair, pocket deuces. Cut off, same player as before that had the jacks, and we hit our set, makes it $15. Let's try to do it again. Can we hit a set twice against the same player? I call, let's see. Flop comes 10-4 deuce. We hit a set again, back to back against the same player. I'm feeling kind of bad for him. I check, he bets $15, and this time, let's fast play it. I make it $45 and see the good news when he calls. Turn is a 3. Let's bet. I make it $100. He jams for 145 more. So, of course, I call, ask him how many times he wants to run it. He says just once and flips over ace 10 of clubs. So I thought most likely he was almost dead, but we do have to fade a decent amount of cards. Let's see. There is a 9 of diamonds. So our set once again is good. I feel kind of bad for this guy because I think he just started playing 2-5 and we just scooped back to back right after he rebuyed. We got the money again twice with sets, and after this the guy just leaves. So that's just part of the game. It can be brutal sometimes, and with this we are up $425. It's a hell of a way to get the session going. Let's try to keep this momentum going for us. Moving on to 4 deuce off, jack 8 off, queen 8 off, ace jack off in the low jack, good enough to raise, but an under the gun 2 raises himself. I just fold. Now an under the gun 2 with 8-9 suited, I make it $15, but everybody folds. Moving on to a good amount of garbage. Queen 4 off, 10-6 off, king queen off in the small blind, good enough to raise, but when the under the gun 2 makes it $20 and button calls. Early position, this may be kind of tight. I'm just not a huge fan of calling in a small blind out of position, but I could see how I may get some shit from this one. I do fold though. Queen 5 off, ace 3 off, ace 5 off, 9 deuce suited, 9-6 suited, 9-7 off, king 8 suited and under the gun, not good enough, 10-6 off. In the big blind, when early position, under the gun 1 raises, I'm just going to fold, 9-6 off. Taking a break to eat, and definitely block sense is on point. We flopped the set twice, and yeah, I haven't flopped the set in a while, so definitely nice running like this. So we're going to go to the buffet, eat a little bit, and head down. We get back into the game with pocket 7s and under the gun and make it $15 and just get under the gun 1 to call. Heads up to a flop. Can we hit a set 3 times in a row? Not that lucky. Flop comes king 4-5, so, but not the worst, even though we have a set. Just 1 overcard, and early position, he must be pretty tight. I raised under the gun and he called next to axe, so I decided to check and see good news when he checks back. Turn is a 6, so now we got to open in a straight draw, and I feel like if he had a king, he'd bet it on the flop, so I feel like most likely my 7s are good, so I bet $20, and he folds. Moving on to the big blind with king 4 suited. Cutter makes it $10, small blind calls, and I call as well. Flop 7 queen queen. Checks around, turn another queen. Checks around, river is an ace. Small blind bets, and I just fold, and indeed he had quads with queen jack off. So king high definitely not good. King jack off in a small blind when low jack makes it 15 button calls. This I just don't think is a hand that's going to play well, so I fold. Queen 8 off, Queen 8 off again, 4 deuce off, Queen 6 suited. Now we see the first premium of the session. Ace King off and under than 2. Under than 1 limps, I make it $20 and he calls. Flop is very good. Ace 7-3, top pair, top kicker. I make it $25 and see the good news when he calls. Turn is a deuce. Let's get value when he checks. I make it $85 and once again he calls. River may look scary, but I felt like it was pretty good in the moment. It's another 7. Since I don't think he has many 7s in this spot, he limped in early position and called my raise. So maybe just a few combos of 7-8 suited and 7-6 suited. But that is literally just 4 combos of hands. And I think like most of the time, those would be folding the turn bet when I make it that size. So altogether, I just didn't think he had almost any 7s. And that just takes away a lot of combos and maybe slow played sets or 2 pairs. So let's go for value against what most likely is an ace with worst kicker. I make it $225. He says you got lucky and flashes ace 3 suited. So damn, indeed we got lucky. He flopped 2 pair but got counterfeited and we will take it down, getting lucky on the river. Now we are up over $500, so things are looking amazing. Let's move on to ace 7 off. Now in a big blind with king 9 suited. Usually I definitely defend this, but under than 2, a super OMC makes it $25, and he makes it bigger with stronger hands. So if he had made it 15, I'd definitely call, but this size, this player is just looks tight, but again, this guy is crazy tight, so my hand is just not doing great against him, so I just fold. Small blind, king, queen off, and again, second time I'm going to fold this hand, but again, in the small blind, under than 2, another very tight player, makes it $25, and a hijack, another tight player, calls. I just fold, 8-4 off, 9-8 off, 7-5 off, 8-5 off, queen 8 off, ace 8 off. Hold on, guys. We're going to get hands soon. King 6 off, 7 deuce off. Now we get to play one. Ace 7 suited in the button. Well, we get to play one. I raised the $15 and everybody folds. Moving on to 9 deuce off. Now we are in the hijack with another pocket pair. Pocket 7s. I make it $15 and I get the button and big blind call. So 3 ways to a flop that comes. 7-10 deuce. We flop a set again. We flop 3 sets out of 4. That is just absolutely insane. Let's see if we get value from this one as well. I make it $35. I make it big, but we're not blocking top pair, and there's a good amount of draws. But sadly, everybody folds, but still nice hitting so many sets. Moving on to queen jack off and a low jack. I make it $15. I get the hijack, small blind, and big blind to call. Flop ace 6 8. And so multi-way, I just don't tend to bluff. So it checks around. Turn is another ace. Checks around. River is a 7. And small up, it's $50. Everybody folds. Moving on, 5 deuce suited. Jack deuce off. We chop it up when it folds to the blinds. King 4 off. Ace 10 off. And a button definitely good enough to raise. But when under the gun makes it $15. Cut off 3 bets to 45. I'm just folding. Queen 5 suited. Now we are in a low jack with a very pretty one. Ace queen suited. I make it $15. You get a hijack and big blind to call. So 3 ways to a flop that comes 3, 9, 7. So 2 overcards, backdoor, flush draw. When it checks to me, definitely I'm gonna bet here. I think there could be a lot of good turn cards that I could be barreling on. And yeah, they could be just missing here. So I make it $30. And they both call. So not what we were hoping for. We were hoping at least one fold. Turn is a jack. I'm not loving this card to be barreling on, especially with 2 callers, and it does connect a good amount with this flop. Now 10-8 is a straight, and maybe they could be calling with jack 9. So altogether with 2 callers, I decide to check. It checks around. River now is a king though. Checks to me again, and now I feel like I definitely could get them to fold. They just call a flop and check the turn and river. So it seems like they did not connect with the jack. Don't have any straights, and calling the flop, maybe they just have 9s or some pocket pairs that will call once and give up. And I bet big on the flop, so I don't think there should be too many kings unless they have like king 9. So let's do it. I make it $60. And the first bluff of the session does not work out. So the hijack does call. Big blind folds. Of course, we are not good against ace king of hearts. So that was definitely interesting. I was not expecting him to have that hand at all. I was expecting 3-bet pre-flop. And I guess calling the flop with a backdoor flush draw. I'm surprised he didn't bet the turn himself since he turned the nut flush draw, but it works out for him since I did bluff the river when he hit his king, and he will take this one down. Let's move on. 3-4 off, 7-6 off, Queen 7 off. We got another pretty one now in the button, ace jack suited. Low jack makes it $15, and let's 3-bet. I make it 50, and things do not go as planned since the big blind cold 4-bets to 160, folds to me, and you almost never see 4-bets at all in these games. Cold 4-bets even less. Just looks like the nuts, and ace jack suited definitely not doing good against that range, so I just fold. Very next time we get another very pretty one, pocket tens, under than 2 limps, so I make it $20. I get the big blind and limp with a call. 3 is the flop, becomes 5 queen 3, so not the worst. Just one over card. When it checks to me, I think my tens could be good a decent amount of time here. There's a flush draw, there's some straight draws, and maybe worse hands may call here, so I make it $25. Big blind folds, but under than 2 does call. Turn is another 3, and when he checks, now to see the value in betting, definitely could have a queen. So I check back. River is another 3. So we now have not that strong full house, but when he checks again, I think my pocket tens are most likely good here. I think he's definitely betting a queen, so let's bet. I don't make it too big since, again, I'm trying to get called from a hand that is worse than a queen. I make it $50. He does call, I show, and indeed, our pocket tens are good. He mucks, we take it down. Moving on to jack 10 off, jack 9 off, ace 3 off, and we are getting hands under than 1 pocket jacks. I make it $15. Low jack calls and a hijack 3-bets at 50. Button calls, and I did raise in early position, so the 3-bet looks pretty strong, so I decide just to call, and so does the low jack. So here we go in a 4-way 3-bet pot. You don't see that often. That comes pretty good for my hand, 9, 10, 7, so we have overpaired to the board and a gut shot, and I'm just checking to the 3-better. I check, and it checks around. Turn is a 4, and when it's on to me, we still have overpair, but this is a 4-way 3-bet pot, and for sure, anybody could have pocket tens, pocket nines, and pocket sevens, and maybe the hijack could still have overpairs because this is a scary flop. So if I had aces, I had kings, maybe he's pocket tuned a little bit, a little scared of this flop. So multi-way, so once again, I check, and once again, it checks around. River now is a 5. This is an interesting spot. I considered betting, but I thought about it again, and I did not know if I was going to get called by worse. It seemed like everybody missed just with overcards, and I did feel like there's still a chance someone could be slow playing because, again, almost every pocket pair worse than mine is a set. So in a spot that I did not know if I was going to get called by worse, and I definitely thought there could be a chance someone was slow playing, I decided to check, checks to the button, and he does bet. He makes it $125. That was pretty interesting. He checked twice, this didn't make too much sense, and I'm not folding my jacks after checking it 3 times. I call, everybody else folds, and he shows ace queen off. So checking 3 times worked out for us since he decided to turn his ace high into a bluff, and now we are up $750. So this session is looking amazing. Moving on to the very next hand, another pocket pair, pocket eights under the gun. This session is the one of the pocket pairs. I make it $15, get 2 callers, and things do not go as hoped since we get 3-bet again, but the button and for $115. And this is one of the tighter regs, and this size just is huge, so I'm not even really getting a price to set mine, so I just fold. But no worries, since once again, very next hand, we get a pretty nice one, ace queen off. Could I makes it $20, and I definitely see the mirror in 3-betting here sometimes, but in this spot when it falls to me, I just call, flop, king, 8, 6, so definitely a bummer when I call with a strong hand and big blind, and we just completely miss. When I check and it bets $25, I just fold, jack deuce off, 7 deuce suited, 10 9 off, jack 4 suited, 9 8 off, 10 8 off. Now once again, we got ace queen off in under the gun 1. Straddle is going on, so I make it $30. I get the low jack and button to call. Flop is absolutely amazing. Queen 5 queen. We flop trips. Best kicker. Let's go and let's bet. There is a flush draw, and I think we'll be called by pocket pairs. I make it $30. We see good news when they both call. Turn is a deuce, and now I decide to play tricky. One big reason is the low jack. He is a very aggressive player, and I have a queen, so not that likely as a queen, and I know he plays pretty wide with suited hands. So I just felt like most likely he had a flush draw, and if I check to him, maybe he puts me on pocket pairs and just bets and barrels when he misses his draw. So that is the plan. I check, and he does not disappoint. He bets $120. But it folds, and I considered a little while about check raising here, but I just felt that looked so strong. They may even fold his flush draw on a paired board. Just looks like I have a queen. So I decide just to call, and river is pretty bad. 8 of spades, so the flush does come in. I check, and he bets $225, and I just hate this spot. I go into the tank for so long. I just was really telling myself, am I going to fold here? But the thing is, I was putting him on a flush draw. He just has way more amount of flush draws than queens. I have a queen myself. There's just one queen left in the deck. And again, he plays with so many suited hands, way wider than it's recommended. So the more I think about it, I was starting to get worried about folding and him going for value with worse. But I don't know. Sure, he'd be betting with king, queen, queen, jack. Altogether, I just felt like I had way more combos of flushes than queens. So I make a pretty crazy fold, but that is what I do. And we hear the pretty good news when he tells us a little bit later that he had 3-4 of spades. So I think we lost the minimum in this spot since he turned a straight draw to go with his flush draw. So I think he most likely was going to call that against a check raise. And I do believe him. He plays pretty often, just doesn't seem like a person that would lie about it. And what's the purpose of it? So definitely pretty proud of this fold, even though I think you should be calling here. I feel if like I send this one like I did the previous week to Chris Like Poker, they'd be like, you got to call there. But let's move on to a bunch of garbage. And while we go through that, I'd like everyone that is watching this to please show some love, leave a comment, like and subscribe. These videos take me a lot of time, and to be honest, I'm not making shit from YouTube. This is straight out of passion because it's definitely not worth the hours. I make almost nothing out of it, but of course it is the goal. Hopefully one day I could start making, money off of YouTube that's worth the hours. And for that to happen, your likes, your comments help out a lot since it gives it more exposure, the more interaction it gets. So if you like it, I definitely appreciate it a lot. Little break, definitely glad I'm vlogging today. It's super action, just a bunch of interesting hands. Sadly, that spade on the river was not fun. I don't know if you can hear me the loud music, but we saved ourselves some money since we did find a fold. And yeah, take a little break, bathroom break, and head back in. We got like an hour and a half left. After that little break, we head back to the table. We buy in the cutoff, and we got queen jack off. Under 2 makes it $25, and yeah, we already have $5 in the pot, but 20 more with this hand. I just fold. 8-9 off, jack 8 suited, queen 10 off, queen 10 suited, and under the gun 1. I make it $15, but the button makes it 100. So yeah, not even giving us a price to call. So I fold. 5 deuce suited, jack 10 suited in the big blind, good enough to play, but it folds to the blind, so we chop it up. 10-6 off, king 7 suited in the button, 1 limper cutoff raises, so I fold. 7-3 off, ace 4 off. Now we look down at another premium pocket kings and under the gun. I make it $15, and only the big blind calls. Flop 8-9-4. He checks. I bet $15, and he calls. Turn. Pretty bad. It's an ace. He checks, and against other players I'd be betting, but this player is super tight, so I don't think he's calling with anything that is worse than my pocket king. So I decided to check back. River is a 7, and he just open folds his 6-7. And this is pretty insane since his 7 may be good, but it wasn't in this case, and we take it down. Now I gotta get through a few amount of bad hands. 8-5 off, jack 10 off, 5 deuce suited, 6-9 off, 5-3 suited, 8-5 off, 5-6 off, jack 6 suited, queen 7 off, king 10 off, 10 deuce off, ace 4 off, jack 6 off, king 5 off, and let's look down at another beautiful one. Ace king suited in the big blind. There's 2 limpers. Small blind makes it $25, and I 3-bet him to 85. This is the same friend from the previous vlog, Pocket Beans, and he does give us some action and call. Flop comes 3, 9, 4, so definitely a very nice flop. Nut flush draw, 2 overcards. He checks, and I'm going to bet on a bigger side. I want to try to get all of his pocket pairs to full bet a river. So if I bet big, there may be a good amount of turn cards I've been barreling on. Of course, best is a heart. So let's do it. I make it $125, and he calls. So we need some help, and we get it. It's not a heart, but it's a king. That is beautiful. I feel like almost always we're good here. If he flopped a set on a flush draw board, I think he'd be doing a lot of check raising, and we play a decent amount against each other. And I think he knows if I have an overpair and he check raises, I'm not folding to him, because he's done plenty of crazy stuff in the past that I just can't fold to him when I have strong hands. So I feel like almost always I'm good here. When he checks, he just has $500 behind that is over pot. So kind of awkward, but I just felt if he has a pocket pair here, like 10s, jacks, queens, if I had a bluff here, like ace queen, ace jack suited, that had a flush draw, I think I'd be using this card. And if I was bluffing, I'd just go all in. So when I do it for value, let's do the same. I jam for $500. Sadly, no more value, since he does end up folding what he later tells us was 7-4 suited. So he flopped middle pair with a pretty ambitious call pre-flop. I appreciate the action though. At least he found the correct fold on the turn, so we can't get all of his money. Let's move on. 9-5 off, queen jack off, king 8 off. Now I got a pretty one, jack 10 suited and under the gun. The button straddle is going on, but I did not notice. So I made it $15, and the minimum raise is 20. So I got to put 20. I min-raised by accident. Under the 1 calls, cutoff makes it $60. And yeah, can't fold for that price. Getting a pretty decent hand to see a flop within the 3-bet pot when we're pretty deep. So I do call, and so does under than 1. So 3 bets to a flop, it comes 10, ace, deuce. So yeah, we flop middle pair, but when it checks the cutoff and he bets $75, I got another person left to talk after me. There's an ace on the board in the 3-bet pot. So yeah, I just fold. Let's move on. Jack 8 off, 10-5 off. Now we got a decent one, at least for the button, ace 10 off. I get $15 and the blinds fold. 10-9 off, jack 10 off, ace 9 off. Now we got a suited one, ace 3 suited and under than 2. I get $15 to get the button and small blind to call. Flop 6, 5, 10. Definitely not the flop I was hoping for. So the small blind needs for $15. I just fold. Moving on, 9-3 suited, king 6 suited. Now in the big blind with 10-9 off. It's a limp pot, so I just check. When the flop comes king high, someone bets, I fold. Small blind 7-8 suited, button makes it $15. I decide to call, and I tell him if I was GTO, I would 3-bet, so make things a little fun. Big blind folds. Flop comes 4-5 king, so hey, at least we have a gut shot. So when I check and he bets $10, I think it's a good enough price to try to hit our 4 outer that maybe could make us a lot of money. So I do call, but turn is a deuce, complete brick. And when I check and he bets $50, when he bets pot, now we're definitely not getting the price to hit our 4 outer. So I do fold, and he shows us 4-5 suited. He flopped bottom 2. So thankfully I did not 3-bet, since he was not folding, since he is our friend that called us earlier with 7-4 suited out of position. So if he's calling it that without a position, he will definitely be calling 4-5 suited in position. So hey, non-GTO saved us money. Now let's get through the garbage before ending the session. Queen 8 off, 9 deuce off, 9-3 off, queen 4 off, ace 9 off, 7-4 off, queen 4 off, and that is it. So feels nice booking a win for the vlog, especially how bad these last months have been going. So let's rack up, cash out, and talk about the session. right, well, that is amazing. Running good and just getting good content for the vlog, that's for sure lucky, especially because how these last weeks have been. The sessions just were super boring, very card dead. Just yesterday I was up $25, day before I was up $75. So yeah, very boring sessions. And this is one of the biggest wins of the month. That is definitely not good news, of course. I think I had another one that was like $600 too. So yeah, definitely needed for the month. It's gonna help out a decent amount. And hope you enjoyed that. It wasn't like a super, like a sun run, had some bad spots as well. When I had the trip's best kicker ace queen and the guy rivered the flush, that I do think he was saying the truth. We play often and he likes to play suited hands, so it does make sense. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna keep on trying to make as much content as I can. As I mentioned before, these take a lot longer to edit, so the goal is every other week. Not a promise, but I really appreciate if you show some love, because it is a lot of work by commenting, liking, and subscribing to the channel. Very much appreciated, and hopefully I'll be back in 2 weeks.